As a fan of the Until Dawn game, I went into this movie hoping for the same eerie, trapped feeling that the game just nailed so well. Instead, the setting felt safe, the characters flat, and the scares also fell completely flat. And honestly, it's frustrating because the original material deserved so much better. So in this video, let's break down why the film just didn't capture the magic of the original game. Treat this as like a mini review, aka all the reasons why I didn't like it. Firstly, the change of location. The cabin in the film being this isolated cabin on a hill, on a very snowy hill, really gave the game this really isolating feeling that you are away from civilization. There's literally this whole part of the game where you're making your way up on like a gondola thing. It made it feel like there was just no escape, like you can't escape from anything. But the fact that this cabin is just in the middle of a forest that's in some kind of weird bubble with the rain, it doesn't feel as far away and it just doesn't feel as scary. Like in the game, it felt like the characters were literally physically unable to leave, like there was no way for them to get out. But this time it's just, oh, the demons are stopping them, which just feels so much less effective. It really just takes away the isolated and like creepy atmosphere the game has. The stakes just feel so much lower. Also, just what the cabin looks like and its purpose just is so much better in the game. Like the cabin in the game, obviously it's a game, so that's kind of like the hub in a weird way, but it's big and it's very nice and it's this kind of cozy atmosphere where you almost let your guard down, so any scare there is just feels more effective because you've let your guard down. But instead in the film, the cabin is like also a place of danger, like throughout. Like it's never really a safe place for them. Because you're not letting your guard down, you're constantly just kind of slightly tense. Any scare that happens, you are expecting it, therefore they're literally less effective. Like I'm quite susceptible to jump scares, but the only one that actually got me was the first one when they're like standing in the middle of the road and a car honks their horn at them. So yeah, this lack of contrast with safe spaces and non-safe spaces just makes any frightening element, and jump scares especially, just feel significantly less effective. I don't know why they decided to do this change. So the only returning character is Dr. Hill. I'm fairly certain that's what his name is, the Swedish guy. He's the same character and I just wish he was in it more. We see him at the start working as some kind of shop clerk, and it's so obvious that he's going to come back. As a fan of the game, I'm like, he's not just going to be making a cameo. I'm fairly certain he will be back, and he was. Wow, I'm so smart. But he kind of makes like 1 or 2, maybe 3 appearances, and then he has the scene with Clover in the office, which is looks like the exact same office from the game, which I thought was so cool. After that interaction, he's killed and that's it. I really wish that scene itself would have lasted longer and maybe we would have returned to this space, because I feel like Clover finds out that all the things that have been happening, like all the ways they've been dying, is based off of her fears and her anxieties. And that is a very interesting concept that is taken from the game. Because obviously it's Dr. Hill, he's studying all these things, so he brings it to the cabin in the woods. But I wish she would have known that and then used that knowledge in some way to help them. Like I feel like they drop that lore bomb and then just like the film ends in like the next 5 minutes. It's really sudden. His death is sudden, although interesting. I like the way she used the water to just kill him, and someone's gonna die and he dies. I like that, but I just wish they encountered each other more, or that interaction was specifically longer, or anything that he says to her has any kind of meaning in their eventual escape, not just him dying. This one's a bit more personal for me. It's just the kind of lore piece from the game I dislike the most is the Wendigos. I really don't give a shit about them, and they're like the main thing from the game that returns, so I didn't really care about them at all. Maybe some people enjoyed the Wendigos, but just not me. That's just a personal thing. This one also is going to make me seem like a fucking asshole, but I just could not stand the main character. Clover is her name. I know she's been through a lot of trauma, her sister has died, there's a lot going on there, but she was just like typical main character syndrome. Doesn't listen to anyone, doesn't listen to any logic, kind of horror character. Like she's just doing things in impulse, she's running straight into danger, and as a viewer, it's just one of those characters that is so frustrating to watch. You're like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, please stop. She really reminded me of how much I hated Bloom when I was a big fan of the Winx Club back in the day. One of my favourite TV shows as a kid, I always hated Bloom because of how much everything had to revolve around her. And I know that obviously, like, if you're going through grief, she's clearly not doing well mentally, you're going to not be the most logical person in a place of stress. But like, and I know this is definitely not like this film specific thing. You see this in a lot of films, and especially horror films, where it's so obvious that like the noise they're hearing, the voice they're hearing, this is clearly not actually her sister. It is so clearly some kind of demon thing, but she runs for it anyway, and it just happens so often. And I think this kind of leads on to the fact that most of the characters are just kind of shit. I know in the game, obviously, because it's longer and it's interactive and you play all the different characters, you have more time to kind of understand them and really get to know them better. But these characters just feel so one-dimensional. They're very flat. I barely could tell you anything about them beyond one character trait. Her sister's dead. That guy, he loves her. She's a psychic. He's a bit of an asshole. She needs to always be in a relationship, and I cannot tell you anything about them. Apart from that, they just needed to drop those little lore bits at the start, being like, this is their one character trait, and the only other thing they have is, we need to stick together, we need to fight these together, we're friends forever. And it's like, oh my god, it's like, shut the hell up. And also, I just feel like there was far too much exposition within the dialogue, and then also any exposition that did happen, obviously you need to explain stuff, there's supernatural things going on, but I didn't like how it kind of came across. Specifically, I'm talking about when they first realize that this is like an old mining town that collapsed. Essentially, they have a bunch of newspapers, there's VHSs and stuff. That happens so suddenly. Like, where did you get this? You would think they would show them finding all this stuff. There's one scene that happens, and then suddenly the next scene they have like boxes full of newspapers, and they're like, look guys, this used to be a mining town, exposition. And it's like, really? I do understand, obviously, the length of time you have to explain this stuff is actually through environmental storytelling in a game that's like 10 hours long or 5 hours long, I don't know how long Until Dawn is, compared to like an hour and a half film. Obviously you have so much less time to explain stuff, but if you're going to change the entire story of something that's based on a game with already a really good story, then surely you would make it more straightforward, where you wouldn't have to just provide so much exposition just through awkward dialogue. And linked to that, the jump from finding out that, oh, they've maybe died and redone it like 5 times to, oh, actually no, we're on our 13th try, was also really really fucking hated that. And then they just do all the exposition of that through phone videos. Okay, I get that they needed to create the tension of, oh my god, this is going to be our last life, but really any tension related to that I never felt once, because I never understood where we were in time. Where are we? And so even when they state, oh, this is like our 13th try, because it's so like not set in stone about how many tries they can get, I feel like you're just kind of like, okay. Like, no one really cares about death, and I understand that they took this concept from the idea of video games, that you can retry and retry, especially in Until Dawn. You can try again if you want to save everyone. But what that does is take away the shock of death and the tension, because there are multiple parts in the game where you are put in a position where you need to choose who to save. There's the part with the sawing people in half. There's the one guy who like gets his pinky, I think, stuck in like a bear trap, and then there's the other one. 2 of them are sitting with like a gun, and it's like, you gotta shoot yourself, you gotta shoot her. Like, those moments are tense, and obviously because they're quick time events, you only have a certain amount of time to think, who am I gonna save? For the characters, like the idea of having to kill someone or choose someone to die is like really shocking to them, and it's a shocking moment. But because they have the option to retry, and I just don't feel tense with the amounts they can do that. I just feel like every single person's death is just like, like there's no emotion with it. Well, most of them are fine just killing each other. Obviously the 2 that are kind of a bit in love, they have a bit more hesitation, but like the 2 really annoying characters, the one who's just like, I need to be in a relationship all the time and I'm kind of a dick, she just like hits him with some kind of spear thing just really suddenly, and you're okay with that? All in all, I really just don't understand why they decided to change an already really good story. Maybe it's because that is told over so many more hours, therefore they didn't think they'd be able to do it in this amount of time, but changing it completely? Why? I did try to Google around and find like an exact reason why they decided to do this, but I never really saw it anywhere. And what my assumption is that, so this film is like a $10 million budget, which I guess for films isn't huge, but horror films do tend to do lots of like low budget ones. I assume with the hinting at the end, they show on the CCTV the cabin in the snowy hill that's from the game, and there was also a like, what would it be called? Like a patient record of Josh from the game, played by Rami Malek. I love you, Rami Malek. slay. I love you so much. So clearly what I think is that they want to do a sequel with the main story of the game. And if this film does well, they'll get more budget, and then they'll actually be able to maybe do it better. Maybe budget was the problem, but just based on the kind of critics' ratings from this, I don't know if that will ever happen, which is a shame to see, because I would have actually loved to see the story from the game actually make it into a live action setting. I think that would have been really cool. But yeah, I don't have much faith. Then again, the Minecraft movie has made so much money, and the critics don't like that either. If you're also a fan of the game, or if you've never seen any Let's Plays or played the game, but you've seen the film, let me know what you think. I'd love to know a perspective for someone who has no background on this, if they enjoyed it. If you were the couple who were sitting in front of me at the screening last night, who kept on talking, and the guy with the Apple Watch who wouldn't turn it off, and every single time you put your hand in the popcorn, the light on your Apple Watch would come up and it would blame in the face, I wish horrible things for you. I wanted to throw my phone at your head. Anyway, thank you for watching. Subscribe. Like the video. Can we hit 2 billion likes? I think that's a reasonable goal. Thank you. Bye!